welcome to Your Health in Your Hands. I'm Dr. David Ajibade with the Brain and Body Foundation. Today we're going to be talking about a very important topic. It's usually really important, but this is a grave topic because of death, the loss of Chadwick Boseman at 43 to colon cancer. And that is very unfortunate. I remember in 2016 when we went to watch his movie Black Panther. No, it wasn't Black Panther, excuse me. It was Captain America Civil War. That's when he first came out. And what a movie that was. He did such a great job. And we were impressed with him right from then on. And of course, he went on to do Black Panther and of course the Avengers movies, the final two Avengers movies, and he did a really good job. In my opinion, his best work was done from 2016 to date, and interestingly enough, his cancer diagnosis came up in 2016. So he's had to do a lot of acting, and a lot of really good acting at that, while having a diagnosis of cancer. And from all reports, he's had multiple surgeries, multiple tests, of course, chemotherapy. So it's been a really hard road for him. And yet, he did some fantastic work. So, yeah, it will be a huge loss to the movie community and to the black community as a whole, because he portrayed the first black superhero. And he did a very good job doing that. So we want to talk about colon cancer. I had planned on doing this before, and I had been working on gut health because it's so important to health as a whole. But this recent occurrence, his loss, kind of really made us feel like this is something that we really have to do. Because believe it or not, colon cancer is one of the top causes of cancer in Nigeria and in Africa, and one of the top causes of death from cancer, along with breast cancer and prostate cancer. So it's very important that we understand colon cancer, the do's and don'ts of taking care of your digestive system, why the digestive system is so important, what are the threats to the digestive system, and most importantly, what you need to do to take care of your digestive system. Because your digestive system is not just about eating and going to the bathroom. It's a lot more than that. And I think, unfortunately, we don't, maybe as medical professionals, we don't bring this to the fore as we ought to. So it's very important that you pay attention and you take notes and you put these tips and suggestions that we'll be giving you into practice. As always, all we can do on TV is give you medical know-how. Basically, what we want to do is we want to give you some wisdom, a more rounded knowledge about health. But in the final analysis, you have to go to your healthcare professional, your doctor, to really, in terms of medical treatment and diagnosis, you have to go to them to get that done. So please do not self-medicate. You want to make sure that you get the right, how shall we say it, direction when it comes to your specific disease or that of your families. But as we said, this is general knowledge, so you can understand how to take care of yourself, so you don't have to go to the doctor for treatment. So in a short while, we'll be right back, and then we'll start on with the main course. See you soon. Welcome back. All right, I wanted to throw out a few statistics about colon cancer before I go to the board. First of all, Americans in general have 10 times more occurrence of colon cancer than Africans, those who are living in Africa. African Americans, now this is where it gets interesting. African Americans living in the United States have 50% more colon cancer than whites do, and as much as 15 times more colon cancer than Africans do. So we're seeing that there's a genetic component, maybe there's a dietary and behavioral component as well, but across the board, African Americans have more colon cancer, and colon cancer is more in black men than black women, from what I understand. So Men, you have to pay particular attention to this. So what they are finding is that African Americans bear a disproportionate burden with an even larger difference in mortality. And this is according to the American Cancer Society. Now I'm going to go further. Greater than 1/3 of all deaths will occur in individuals aged 80 and older. So age has something to do with it. Incidence and death rates are highest in blacks. Among males during the period from 20 the period from 2006 through to 2010, death rates in blacks were more than double those in Asians, Pacific Islanders, and 50% higher than those in non-Hispanic whites. We've said that already, but I'm just kind of like giving you a little bit more detail. So there is, like I said, there's a genetic factor to it. There's certainly a dietary component to it, and there's a behavioral component to it. So we're going to try and examine these as we go to the board. And I'm also going to quickly draw a few things on the board. Well, let's switch this about. Okay. All right, so I want to just give you an overview of the digestive system and how it works, and then we're going to hone in on the colon cancer. So this is the face and this is the mouth. Food obviously comes in through the mouth, down the esophagus, into the stomach, spends a little time in the stomach, where it's mixed with digestive juices. The stomach does its own thing of churning and mixing everything up together, and then pushes it out from the stomach into the small intestine, and then spends some time in the small intestine, and then gets into the large intestine. So I kind of like drew it out there. Now on the screen, you're going to see the different times it takes for different kinds of foods, like carbohydrates, proteins, fats, and meats, and things like that. So that's all drawn out. The key thing to remember is this: stasis is bad. In other words, when things take too long to get through the digestive tract, that's a bad thing. It's also a bad thing if it goes too quickly, because it needs time. There's a minimum amount of time it takes for your food to be properly digested, and that needs exposure, it needs some mixing, it needs some stasis. And you've all heard that nature abhors a vacuum, or nature hates a vacuum. Well, nature really hates stasis almost as much, probably twice as much, I don't know. But stasis is not a good thing. If your food is sitting in your gut for too long, it can cause major problems, especially when we're talking about the bad bacteria and what they can do to your food. So it's very, very important that you know that you should be pushing food and stuff through as moderately quickly as possible, so you can stool it out. Ideally, you should be stooling twice. In fact, some people say 3 times a day. If you're stooling only once a day, yeah, you're not in serious trouble, but it's not a good thing. It should be like once or twice a day. Kids should be more than that. So you need to go through the gut. So I think we want to start with the mouth, because the digestion really begins in the mouth. And if you watch our series on the cardiovascular system, we talked about how dental hygiene, bad dental hygiene or gum disease can cause everything from brain to premature birth to hormonal issues to even heart disease, believe it or not. If you are having gingivitis, if you're having poor dental hygiene, it will affect your overall health. Take it from me. And it's tragic, in my opinion, that not enough Nigerians know that you should be brushing your teeth at least twice a day. And if you're just brushing your teeth once a day, it should be at night, not in the morning, because all the gunk and all the food and everything you've put in your mouth and inhaled and is sitting there. And then you now leave that whole junk to sit in your mouth all day till the next morning, where it can fester and get and decay and cause all kinds of germs. And why else do you think so many people have bad breath? Because of a lot of it is because of the bad bacteria that has been allowed to flourish as a result of not having enough dental hygiene. So please brush your teeth twice a day. It goes from your mouth to your stomach. I was told you spend some time in your stomach to the small intestine. Both of these constitute the small intestine. You need to have adequate amounts of digestive enzymes. The lining of your gut should be healthy so that you can produce. In fact, I think I should draw it here. So while we're looking at those two, this is, let's put it this way. So food is coming from this way to this way. This is just a general overview of this. It represents everything from here all the way down here. So as it's going through, the body is producing enzymes and other chemicals which act on the food and digest the food. If your body doesn't have enough of the enzymes, it will not be able to digest the food. What happens is that the undigested or partially digested foods eventually reach the colon. The truth is this: the colon should not be, most of the food should have been digested and absorbed. The proteins, the carbohydrates, the fat, they should have been digested and absorbed. The only food that is reaching the colon, which is the large intestine, the main food that is either the ones that cannot be digested, which is mostly fiber, which fiber is known as fermentable fiber, which is very important for the health of the good bacteria or the probiotics, which I'm going to talk about some more. That is what should be getting there. The others are maybe those toxins or chemicals that the body doesn't know what to do with, and it just wants to get rid of it, so it pushes it to the colon. If it's meat, if it's proteins, if it's other healthy stuff, it should have been digested by the time it gets to the colon. The reason for that is that you don't want, and sugars of course, the reason for that you don't want a heavy load of sugars and other things getting to the colon, because it just overloads the good bacteria and in fact it makes it fertile ground for the bad bacteria to act on. When bad bacteria is acting on food in the gut, it produces a lot of toxins and wastes which can damage the lining of the gut and and result in something which is called increased intestinal permeability, aka leaky gut. And I'm going to get into that some more. So I'm just going to take a short break here, and we will be right back. All right, welcome back. So I want to talk about what is needed for a healthy gut. And I mentioned something about leaky gut just before we went on break. But as I mentioned before, food has to pass through at a regular point, at a regular speed. And that is only possible when the muscles, let's put it this way, the muscles of the walls of the digestive system are contracting and relaxing rhythmically. Contracting, relaxing, so that they are pushing the food ever forward. So that's a basic requirement. The other requirement, like I mentioned before, is that the enzymes that can digest the food have to be released. The other requirement, especially when it comes to the colon and the rectum, is that the probiotics or the good bacteria, pro means good, biotics means bacteria, and we have a large number, more good bacteria are in our guts than the number of cells in our body, or more bacteria as a whole are in our gut and digestive system, especially in the colon, than the rest of the body, all the cells in the rest of the body put together. And they have a very, very, very important function. And they address everything from immune health to mental health, of course, to digestive health. In fact, they produce enzymes that help to digest fiber. The other thing they do is they actually help in the production of certain vitamins, like vitamin B12. So what happens here is not just the production of feces. Yes, that happens here, but they also do a lot more. So it's very, very important what they do. And this colon is where colon cancer, that's where colon cancer occurs, and that's eventually what killed Chadwick Boseman. So back to this slide now. The question now is, what kind of foods are the best kind of foods to keep this digestive system, especially the colon, so since we're talking about colon, healthy. And the foods that we are finding out that are very, very important, they're not too many. I mean, you have to eat your food and enjoy your whatever, your ice cream or your amala, your pounded yam. I'm from Ikiti, so I love pounded yam. But I understand that it has its own problems too because it has a lot of sugar. But while you're enjoying all that, while you're taking your alcohol, that's another problem. Taking too much alcohol can be a problem. I want to focus on the things that are most important for the health of your colon. And if there's anything that is important for the health of your colon, it's fiber, specifically fermentable fiber. And why is that so? And why is that important? As a matter of fact, and I'm going to read you some statistics, but when they looked at cultures around the world, they found out that those who have the highest levels, highest intake of fermentable fiber, and I'm going to mention one of them, they are the ones who have the lowest rates of digestive system problems, including colon cancer, including diverticulitis, including irritable bowel, all these issues that keep you from enjoying your normal life. Those that had the highest levels of fiber in their diets seem to do well. And what fiber does, another word for fiber is really called roughage. And remember we used to talk about it in school. So roughage actually provides bulk. It bulks up. That's one thing it does. And so it gives the walls of the intestine something to hold on to. So when they contract, they feel the fiber and they push the fiber through. So it helps in regularity. It also helps, believe it or not, in irregularity as well. So people who have diarrhea, I know someone who was always going to the bathroom. We decided to give him fiber, and from 6-7 times a day, he got down to twice a day. I mean, there was a time when I'm like, where is he? He's in the bathroom. And I said, yeah, this is enough. So we started giving him the fiber, and it worked. It helped with that. So that's just one of the functions that it does. The most important function it does is that it feeds the probiotics in the colon. You see, the good bacteria, like I said, they serve a very important function. They help with the immune system. By the way, 70 to 80% of our immune system is mainly in the gut, especially in the colon. There's a reason for that. So they work to help with the immune system. They work to help with the digestive system. They work to help with cholesterol. They even produced serotonin, the neurotransmitters that are important in the brain. Serotonin. In fact, believe it or not, 95% of all the serotonin that is produced in your body is produced and used not in the brain, but in the gut. Believe it, I was shocked when I heard it myself. I think 50% of the dopamine, yes, we know about dopamine, that's what gives you a high. It's what you have when you get an orgasm, have a really good time at sex. It produces an orgasm which produces dopamine, which gives you like a real high. The good bacteria produce that as well. So you need to, the point I'm trying to make is that you need to feed your good bacteria so that they in turn can take care of you. And if you're not giving your good bacteria enough fiber, believe it or not, and this was a shocker to me as well, what happens is that both the good bacteria and the bad bacteria will actually begin to eat up the inner lining or the mucus layer of your digestive system. This inner lining that is meant to protect you from damage, the good bacteria and the bad bacteria will turn on this and start eating away at this, causing damage. Check it up online. I couldn't believe it, like I said, when I first heard about it. But that is what happens. So they will start damaging you. So you're not just depriving your good bacteria. You're not just, when you don't take enough fiber, you're not just depriving them of that. You're also actually harming yourself because they will turn on you. I mentioned leaky gut to you before too. This is something I've seen with my patients who have autism and who have neurological conditions. Once the lining of the gut is damaged, and once it becomes porous, what happens is that digestive food particles or partially digested food particles can escape through the walls into the bloodstream where they should not be. And once they enter the bloodstream, the immune cells in the bloodstream, they send out an alarm and they're like, this should not be happening. And they attack those immune cells, and it causes a reaction around the body, which is not good. But let me not digress too much. We're talking about the colon, or we're talking about colon cancer. So it is important that you feed your good bacteria. The other nutrient that they found out that is very, very important is, believe it or not, I'm sure you believe it by now because I've said it so many times, is vitamin D. In fact, let me read a few things on vitamin D for you from the screen. So just take a look at the screen. Okay, let me start with fiber. In a recent study, prospective study involving high fiber, they found out that high fiber was associated with a low colorectal cancer specific mortality. So fewer people died if they had cancer. They looked at vitamin D. Vitamin D can reduce the risk of colorectal cancer and breast cancer by as much as 70%. Administration of vitamin D can suppress colon cancer in animal models. So we've talked about fiber, we've talked about vitamin D. Those two seem to be the most important. And speaking about fiber, I want to point you to a specific kind of fiber that we have found very, 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 very helpful. And of course, the brand is very, very important. So I'm going to write it here. Well, this is not a brand. We can't talk about brands on TV. But this is the kind of fiber that you want. Psyllium husk. It's called psyllium husk. And you don't want the powder. You want the flakes. I've tried everything, quite frankly. I've searched and looked for the best brands and all that. And I've tried them on myself because I have a sensitive stomach. And I'm sure some of you have that as well. So what I've found is the one that can help. And when I take it, I get up in the morning and I go to the bathroom and comes out. You feel like you're in heaven once you get it all out. What it does is it helps you to evacuate more fully. It gives you a good feeling because once you're feeding your good bacteria, believe it or not, if your good bacteria are happy, your emotional health will be enhanced as well. So psyllium husk is a really, really good one. If you want to know more about it, you can call us and check with us. But psyllium husk, in fact, they say that it's among the top 3 or 4 supplements everybody should be taking. I tend to agree. Now that I'm using it, and I'm using it on my patients as well, I think it plays a huge role. So let's see. I think we've talked about most everything. We've talked about enzymes, very important, probiotics, the integrity of the gut wall. And of course, we've talked about fiber, which is like a prebiotic. Prebiotics feed the probiotics. And I'm seeing how important this is in autism and neurological conditions as well. So we're looking at all these different things. Back to colon cancer. It's so important that you take care of yourself. You maintain a healthy lifestyle, especially when you pass the age of 40. Let's face it, guys. Once you pass the age of 40, things aren't just going to work the way they used to work before. I mean, 30s, 35, you're still coasting. But 40, that's when things begin to go downhill. So it behooves you to start taking the steps to safeguard your health. You don't want to be a vegetable. You don't want to be an invalid. You don't want to be disabled. And God knows what's going on in your genes. Some people have genes that may make them live forever. Others have genes that will react and make them decrepit within a few months after they pass 50 or 60 years. So it's very important that you don't take chances. What you find out about health, please apply. Take your vitamin D. As a black person, you should be taking vitamin D. Take your fiber. Take your multivitamins. Make sure you take your drugs that are prescribed for you as they are prescribed by the doctor. Make sure you do your yearly checkups. All these, they don't take that much, but they can save you a lot of hurt. So with that, I'm going to say thank you for listening. Be healthy, stay healthy, And join us next week for more interesting topics on your health in your hands. God bless.
Information is power. Everyone wants power. So feel powerful with the Nta News Mobile App, the one-stop information center. Real news at your fingertip. Be the first to report by uploading first-hand information on the U-Report link, and be the first to know by simply clicking on any of the links on the sidebar for headlines, domestic and foreign news, economy, security, politics, sports, and more. Stream live on your smartphone and tablets and stay connected. It's pretty easy. Simply download Nta News app from your Google Play Store and you're good to go. Nta News Mobile App, your access to real-time information.
The best amongst the rest in information, entertainment, the first breaking the news. We are Africa's largest network. Africa's largest network. Second to none. The first, the biggest, the best. NTA. Education, sports, authentic news, views. NTA. Oh, you can't beat the rich.
There is a lot of fake news and report circulating, especially on social media, on the coronavirus. Do not believe or partake in the spread of these fake reports. If it is not on the official website or news from the Nigerian Center for Disease Control, NCDC, disregard such report. Only together can we beat this virus. Only together can we overcome this pandemic. Follow the instructions and guidelines provided to combat this virus. Most importantly, stay at home. Self-isolate, regardless of your status. The virus doesn't move unless we move. Let us work together to better Nigeria. Together, we can do this. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, Africa's largest television network.
This is the network service of the NTA.
Well, there's a myriad of things. I think, first of all, we have to go back to...
You're right, you are very well known for your teaching skills. Your students speak a whole lot about you. Miss Nigeria competition.
I said, let's pick them up. Let's take them back to Nigeria.